In this course, we're going to talk about what leadership looks like in the ministry, pointing out several primary characteristics and principles that are essential to leading in the 21st century. In 1986, Oldsmobile was a highly successful automobile for General Motors, having sold over 1 million vehicles. The quality was outstanding, affordable, and the brand of choice for much of the United States market. At that time, the average buyer of an Oldsmobile tended to be older, but they wanted to push their vehicles to a younger crowd. So they commissioned their ad agency to develop a new campaign to highlight their new vehicles and market to a younger buyer. The campaign slogan stated, "This is not your father's Oldsmobile." It was the new generation of Olds. The only problem was that the typical buyer of Oldsmobiles were older men. The campaign never attracted the younger demographic it wanted. It only insulted the people who actually bought their cars. So how bad was the campaign? In 1986, they sold 1 million vehicles. In 1990, they sold less, and in 2000, 237,000. When you talk about change initiatives and bad campaigns, this one always makes the list of worst campaigns in marketing history. The church cannot afford to make the same mistake. Managing the status quo will not do. Ministers must lead.
Hey, Lori here. You're watching content provided by DOE1. Whether you're at the beginning of your ministry or seasoned, DOE1 is the premier location for all things ministry. Check us out at doe1.org. Now let's get back to your video.
So what lessons do we learn from ministry for this case? There's nothing wrong with trying to change, to reinvent your brand, but you should do it without insulting your longtime customers or members. How do you keep the one and reach the others? The singer, songwriter Bob Dylan captured the mood of the times in 1963 with the release of his song, "The Times They Are Changing." So many variables had come together to create the perfect storm of societal change, and no one was exempt from it, including the church. Up until this time, the majority of churches were located in rural areas. In fact, most of America was rural. The church was primarily one-dimensional to ensure that everyone in the church was cared for. The golden years of the church were the 1950s and 60s. Back then it seemed everyone went to church, and if someone didn't go to church, they knew they should. The pastor wasn't concerned with trying to reach one generation or another. Everyone liked the same kind of worship, and if they didn't, it was because a Lutheran had stumbled into a Baptist church or a Presbyterian got lost and visited the Nazarenes. Pentecostals were on the other side of the tracks. But in the 1950s, the pastor's job was primarily managing the congregation, making sure everyone was cared for and that all the systems were running smoothly. The job was to encourage church attendance and personally shepherd the community. To be sure, there was well-staffed nursery, Sunday school was fully operational, that there were adequate potluck dinners, that worship was good, and that every member got some sort of personal touch on a regular basis. A week in the life of a busy pastor typically found them in one of four places. Number one, in their office making sure the church was running smoothly and writing their sermon in between. Two, in one meeting or another, making sure ministries and programs landed somewhere between adequate and excellent. 3, visiting those in the hospital or a rest home. 4, in a member's home, visiting with them. And then came the 1960s. Suddenly, ministers found themselves in a strange place. It actually seemed the ground had shifted beneath everyone's feet. Research says the first responsibility of leadership is to define reality. So fast forward to today, what is now being referred to as the church on the other side. Long gone are the days of one-dimensional ministry. As one great minister put it, today, even more than ever, a minister's role is to do spiritual work in a natural world. Change is now a constant, and simple management of status quo will not do. Today's pastor is called upon to be the shepherd of the flock and to lead an organization. And leadership requires not one new skill, but a collection of skills relevant to their specific context. I therefore approach this course acknowledging that I am a benefactor of the theology and practice of John Wesley. The founder of Methodism taught his followers a valuable lesson from Exodus 12:36, which states, "And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they granted them whatever they requested. Thus they plundered the Egyptians." Just as the Israelites gathered valuables from their captors before the Exodus, Wesley explains so should God's people today collect intellectual data from wherever it might be found and put it to use in the kingdom. I'll not attempt to compete with your theological development, but be assured the ideas, concepts, and principles within this course are, as Wesley encouraged, pulled through the filter of Scripture and my love for both ministry and the minister. As Paul said in Titus 1:5, we are simply putting in order the things that are lacking.
Hey, Lori here. If you like what you were watching, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell to receive notifications when new content goes live. You can find content like this on DOE1, the premier location for all things ministry. See you on the next video.